It was the year 1850. Alan Pinkerton had just resigned from the new Chicago police force in order to make his own private detective agency that dealt with railway theft cases, as well as personal detective cases. This eventually became known as the Pinkerton National Detective Agency. Their motto: "We never sleep." Born in 1819 in Glasgow, Scotland, Alan Pinkerton lived in poverty. His father was a police sergeant who died from unknown causes. Alan eventually became an activist, which led to his arrest in 1842. He fled to Chicago in the United States that same year. In Chicago, he set up his own barrel shop. The store was used as a station for slaves who escaped to get to the Underground Railroad. Alan eventually captured counterfeits who were making fake coins in the area. He ended up assisting in the arrest of these men in another gang arrest. This led him to being the deputy of Cook County. He even stopped a plot to assassinate Lincoln before he was even president. His unfortunate demise was when he trips on a sidewalk, bites his tongue, and dies. In the late 19th century, a target of the Pinkertons was one of the most well-known crime lords in New York, Marm Mandelbaum, a Prussian immigrant who hired children to pickpocket people. Eventually, this led to her dealing with priceless stolen goods. Unfortunately, she had many connections like bad cops and politicians who were corrupt. She also had lawyers who would help her people if they got in trouble, as well as many other connections that were involved in the crime syndicate. Eventually, the district attorney thought it was time to put her reign to an end. A Pinkerton named Gustav Frank spent 5 months trying to gain access to her syndicate. He passed her tests, which included cutting off and disposing of the stolen silk. After surveilling her for months, he not only bought stolen silk from her, he also confessed to being a criminal. Gustav bought 36,000 feet of stolen silk that was worth tons of money. Marm was eventually arrested and was going to be put on trial. When they set up her bail, she eventually jumped and ran. Marm ran away to Ontario, where she spent the rest of her life in exile. The Pinkertons then became known as a private eye. In other words, they were private detectives as well as spy for the common people.